tonight, my guest, Miss Gemma Star, welcome back. Thank you for coming back with us. Yes. Gemma is it? Yes, very good. Thank you. I'm a little, I am anxious and a little excited because I really enjoyed our part one, and I know a lot of people that watched it. I mean, I did get quite a bit of views on YouTube on my channel. So people do, like myself, appreciate Gemma is an author, a writer, a muse, a learned being for sure, a savant in her own right. And I can't say enough how much I truly appreciate your work. I'm not going to keep going on because I'm pretty clear about how I feel. Yeah. And we'll just, pick up a little bit to the best of, we can. Back, we were discussing, I remember in part one, close prior to us closing, about healing and even past lives we mentioned, how they affect us in this life, and some of the traumas that people have a difficult time overcoming due to not being in the present moment and kind of getting stuck in their traumas and so forth. So I'd like to discuss some of those things this evening, and how you were able to heal yourself and really step up and out of that muck, basically. Yeah. So anyways, please share a little bit about yourself for those that didn't have the opportunity to listen to the first part one, and then we'll move more into, the discussion we're going to have on healing and past lives and any other thing that arises. We'll go with it. Welcome, Gemma. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Ida. Lovely to be here.
Yes.
So about me, I would consider myself just a very ordinary woman who has been on her healing journey and got to a place where just grateful for all the pain that came beforehand, because it's made me into the woman I am today. And pretty close to 5 years ago, I started writing, and that brought a whole new level of awareness, because that was a connection that I found to divinity, to my divine self, my higher self. And that comes through in my writing. So I was able to express the journey I was going through, my healing journey, but also what was happening in the quantum field for humanity. And it just all ties in with finding my self-worth, my confidence, expressing myself, which is a huge part of the feminine. We've been shut down for so long, and that played out in my journey through my childhood and my marriage. Now just in a really good place, and it's I'm happy to share whatever you'd like me to share.
Well, yes. So I definitely know, and your writing is quite eloquent, very direct, very passionate.
It's to be kept simple. Yeah, I was told that to keep it simple, like, you don't need 10 paragraphs to say what you can say in 2. And I think that's part of the beauty of it, is that it's simple and to the point.
Absolutely.
You don't need all these extra words. I mean, when you get it from spirit or from your higher self, there's no extra stuff to fill the space. It's just exactly what you need to hear.
Wouldn't that be lovely that we communicate that way as a species as well?
I generally do.
Well, you and I do too. I definitely consider myself to be a pretty direct person, and but sometimes I feel there's not words to really communicate what I'm wanting to, like, really it's just a feeling. It's not like, I've used telepathy before, and I know that I was communicating with the person that I was using it with, because she was showing facial expressions and feeling the energy. And I will tell you that it is so much, I don't know what word to use. It's just so much more real and genuine and authentic. I think words, while words are lovely and you use them very well, for sure, we can get, find I'm saying in general, miscommunicating, obviously. I mean, that's how wars start. People, even our own self, we say one thing and somebody interprets it completely different, and it's not received the way it's intended.
Exactly. See, with telepathy, there's no hiding behind perceptions or judgments. It's the purity. You can't filter what comes through with telepathy. It's the pure essence of whatever you're embodying in that moment. And telepathy comes from the heart, not from the mind. People think it comes from the mind. In my experience, it can only come from the heart, which is the purer energies. So yeah, because I mean, the way we're taught to write at school, we're taught a certain format, an introduction, a conclusion, a body, shape your paragraphs. And I know the difference with me if I'm writing from the mind and I'm writing in a more, scholastic format, or when I'm writing from the heart, which is more a vertical format, and very minimum use of grammar, grammar. Not grammar.
Punctuation. Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah. So I know the difference with me. And when I'm asked to actually write a piece, it's like, well, I struggle. But when the writing's flowing through me, it's just complete flow of it just flows beautifully. So I know very distinctly my energies, what's going on in the mind and the heart. But going back to telepathy, yeah, I mean, the thing is, I believe you can only get to a point of telepathy when you're relatively pure, because most people don't want other people to see what they're really thinking or what they're really feeling. So if you can get to a space where you're healed enough that you could be an open source, that transparent, everyone can see what you're feeling, what you're thinking, that takes, you've got to be in a certain space to allow that to come through, not have walls of filters where, you think before you speak or you think before you write. It's certainly a different place to be.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that. Okay. Here we go. I didn't have this issue earlier with the other show, Katie, I'm hearing feedback again. I hope that doesn't continue. I think she could hear me.
It might be because I don't use a microphone or anything. I mean, I've got pretty high ceilings here. It could be that, or just because I'm in Australia.
You sound fine now. It's just every once in a while. It was the first time it happened. Hopefully it won't continue. You're fine. I wasn't sure if it's you or on my end. But back to telepathy. So it's when I had my DNA activation and my Kundalini activation that I was able to use telepathy. And yes, it was from my heart. I absolutely agree with you that it is not a mind thing at all. And it was quite beautiful. It was, I don't even know how, there's really no way to, other than, people think, okay, telepathy, well, you're just reading somebody's mind. No, there's an actual communication taking place.
Yeah.
From your heart space.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Definitely. And the heart and feelings are so powerful. They're, I think like maybe 100-fold more powerful than the energy of thoughts. So if you can actually create that feeling and then direct that feeling, that's going to get there way more impactful than, any thoughts that you're sending. I mean, that might be a different field. I don't know. I haven't really studied it. I just go, with my own experience and, yeah.
Well, I definitely wasn't doing. It's feeding back. There it goes. I definitely, at the time, if I am to be honest, which I'm always am as honest as I'm capable of, but I don't, it was just happening. It wasn't something that I sat and said, okay, I'm going to use telepathy. It just happened. It was during my Kundalini activation, and I saw images and beings and the tree. I mean, it was quite an experience. I'll just say that. But anyway, so yeah, it's pretty amazing. But you do so well with how briefly or how much you expand, whatever it is. Your writing is amazing. People go to YouTube or to the Gemma's Facebook page and check out her work for sure. If you're listening live, you're welcome to check her out because, and then there's a lot of guests that will be listening that already are familiar with your work. So can we talk about past lives and how we bring that trauma in from past lives into this lifetime and how that might play out, and what are the signs that we can look for, or some signs that we can look for that we are, because some people just get caught up in the loop of it. I know I continued to loop until I realized what I was doing and was able to pull back and sit with myself and do some inner work and so forth. So I don't do that so much anymore, but I know that is definitely a struggle a lot of people have, is the looping thoughts and the, especially if they have any kind of DNA activation or memory. People want answers. They want to know, what is this I'm experiencing and so forth. So please go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, past lives. So all these things I've only sort of, touched on in my own experience and brought them all in together for what works for me. But, just the understanding of past lives puts a whole new perspective on our journey as in this incarnation now. Because if we can understand that maybe we, for example, incarnated in, we attracted an abusive relationship in this lifetime because we had, we couldn't overcome that relationship in a past lifetime. Or it might be karma that, maybe we were the abuser in another past time. So both those situations, the first one is like, for example, in this lifetime, I overcame that. And so I feel that, I've got that one ticked off my list. And I know it wasn't just a fluke. It was work that I was doing to write, because I always say for every problem, you rise above it. The only way out is to rise above it in frequency. So what you're attracting on a level where you would attract abuse into your life, once you've done enough healing, you can rise above it. And you don't have to think about how you're going to get out of that relationship. You just know that because you're now vibrating on a higher plane, that the universe will organically unalign you, and that's exactly what happened. So for the better than you could ever. Because if you're starting to think of the outcome, like the universe when that happens in the quantum field, the universe provides a way that is better than you could have ever thought of anyway, and easier. And so that's exactly how it worked for me. So yeah, the journey always comes back to ourselves, to do the work on ourselves. It's not to change the other person. It's to, if we're not happy where we are, to vibrate higher, so we align with a higher situation that matches what we're now embodying. But yeah, going back to past lives. So, and also, karma. I mean, I haven't looked a lot into karma. It's just enough for me to be aware of it and see if we can understand that maybe in a past life we were the abuser. We drop our judgments. We understand that in the quantum field, it's all playing out perfectly for us to experience every situation, because, holding on to judgments and holding on to higher ground, higher moral ground, that, I'm a better person than you. Well, that doesn't work because, we could have well been the abuser in the past. So, it's just understanding these things just brings us into a greater awareness of why we go through what we go through, learning to trust the universe, understanding that the journey always comes back to us, and just having more compassion for people who maybe are in a different place. And just understanding that, it's all playing out perfectly, because in the perfection of God or source or whatever you want to call it, nothing is imperfect. And when you can click on something that, you understand this, and then you can start with the forgiveness that, well, okay, so I actually at a higher level asked to create this experience because I wanted to learn from it. And then you can start forgiving, and you can start even giving gratitude for the journey. I know when you said you wanted to talk about some healing tools, I did jot down 10 different things that have worked for my journey, and forgiveness was one of them, one of the 10.
I was just going to respond to you. Okay. I keep having this. Katie, I don't know what's going on with the computer, but okay, it's better again. It did this last time. I'm not quite sure why it's doing that, but I was just going to say, make a comment. Of course, yeah, doing my best to be, patient to hear you out. My mind goes a little bit faster than, and I don't mean to, please don't, I'm not meaning to be disrespectful, excuse me, or rude in any way, Gemma. I tend to, people would like to call it ADHD. I just have a tendency, and it's not that I am not wanting to listen fully and hear what I kind of already know what's getting ready to be said before it's said. And I'm not saying that to be, it happens, not always, but often. So I have to slow myself down a little bit. It's just part of being an empath and being, having our gifts. You have these gifts. We all have them, but mine is definitely online. But okay. You have to be in a place of forgiveness in order to get to the place where you're talking about having that kind of compassion for somebody when it comes to accepting their role in your evolution, in your spiritual development and growth. It cannot happen without having forgiveness first. It won't happen.
Right. It's the key. And also for your physical body, for the health, if you're holding resentment in your physical body, because it's in you've got your emotional
Absolutely.
body and your mental body. I mean, you've got, I think, 7 different energetic bodies, but they're the 2 that I like to focus on. So we've got our physical body, and then we've got our emotional body, and everything that's happening energetically in our emotional body is manifesting in our physical body. And then we've got our mental body. So you've got to tidy your thoughts up, because with thoughts come emotions, and then that's manifested into the physical. So you've got to sort out these 2 bodies to have a healthy physical body. It's no good just working out at the gym and thinking, oh, you're going to get healthy if you don't put health into your physical and your mental bodies. It's so vital to clean up your thoughts and to clean up your emotions. And then, because everything that's manifesting in your physical body is the result of unhealed emotional body, or blocks in your emotional body, and also, or unhealthy thoughts that aren't in alignment with love. So you've really got to fix up all those 2.
Absolutely, I agree with you, and I won't profess to be fully there, but I've definitely come a long way.
None of us are fully there.
Yeah. But I've definitely come a long way, and I don't know if I've shared this. I think I have. I do ionic detoxes for people, and there's a big thing about whether they work or don't work. I can tell you, I quit smoking after 4 sessions. I don't smoke. I smoked for 40 years. Not only that, my health and my energy level, I'm 53 years old. I'm pretty active, not that 53 is old, but considering the lifestyle I used to live, comparison to now, I'm very fortunate that I have very good health. I've gotten myself pretty healthy, and I gained some weight since I quit smoking, but I've kind of, not that I want to keep it on. When I'm ready, I'll get out there and get moving again. I feel like more internal stuff that needs to be taken care of, because once that's taken care of, I know that it will show more on my physical, gaining weight. Okay. Yeah. Because I was rewarding myself for quitting smoking cigarettes, but at the same time, realizing that uncomfortable feelings, when I think about things that are uncomfortable, I haven't been able to sort out, I'll go and, grab an apple and peanut butter or whatever, and it's.
Well, it's just replacing one addiction for another. you know, before you have a cigarette, and now you have, you know, well, you have an apple, I'll have chocolate.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I quit smoking, gosh, over 20 years ago. And I did that when I started the Bikram Yoga, which is another one I've got on my list. Hot yoga, they call it now. They've sort of detached from Bikram, but it's a sequence of 26 yoga postures and 2 breathing exercises that is done in a hot room. And I started that, almost 20 years ago. And that has been a huge, I'm sure I would not be who I am now without it. And that's not just on a physical level, you know, keeping up your you know, your bone strength and your flexibility, and it's, you know, flushing out your organs. It's a specifically designed sequence that it works through every muscle, bone, flushes organs, everything. And, you know, you're sweating because so that's a huge detox. But that's been a huge part of my journey, and I've pretty much stuck to that. I mean, some weeks I'll go every morning, and in winter I hibernate a bit, so it's like, oh, it's still dark at 6 a.m. I'm going to stay in bed. But now, you know, in summer here, it's easy because it gets light at 5 a.m., 4:30. But that yoga there has been a huge tool in
You're such a delight, Gemma. I just want to tell you that. You're laughing. Yep, you put a big smile on my heart. I love just to see that. I love to see women happy and feeling good in their skin, and just, you know, and you definitely inspire me to want to do better. And I am. I mean, I'm doing my own work in my own way. I get it, and I give myself credit for that. But yeah, just sitting here and observing you, and it's just so lovely. It really is. I mean that.
Well, it's great to be in a place where that all comes naturally. You know, you're not putting on a fake smile or pretending to be someone you're not. And this is all part of the journey. When we get, I mean, I was so shut down I had, you know, this natural sort of flow and, I guess, femininity and inner child was very shut down in my childhood and in my marriage. So, you know, it's taken a while for me to get back here. But when you're happy with yourself and you're not always wanting more, you're just happy with what you've got today. That's so important.
Yes, that is so lovely. Absolutely. Yes.
And who you are today, because gratitude for today brings you more to be grateful for tomorrow. And gratitude is another one I've got on my list of 10. So gratitude, you can't, like, oh, I'll be grateful in a year when I've saved for whatever car, or I'll be grateful in 10 years when I'm living in a bigger house. You know, society programming teaches us always that when we get in a certain place in the future, then we'll be happy, then we'll have something to be grateful for. But that doesn't work with the quantum field. You know, now, whatever we're feeling now is what we're manifesting for tomorrow, for the future. So you've got to be feeling it now. So if you're grateful for whatever you've got now, you're aligning with more to be grateful for tomorrow. And maybe again, you'll have less, or maybe you'll have more, or maybe you'll have the same, but you're still grateful for it, because there's always someone worse off than you.
Absolutely.
Always someone. You know, even if you're homeless, living on the streets, oh, I got 2 legs. You know, there's someone that's only got 1 leg. You know, there's always something to be grateful for. Even it's just taking the next breath. There's some people that, you know, they've got some chronic condition that, you know, they can hardly breathe. Now, that must be a really scary place to be in. So you can always find something to be grateful for and focus on, instead of focusing on what you don't have. And that's huge, because, as I said, filling today with with stuff to be grateful for will just continue on and on. You don't have to worry about your future. You just know that you'll always have something to be grateful. A life to be
Absolutely.
grateful.
I agree. Gratitude. I mean, every day I have little plaques and so forth about gratitude throughout my, you know, my bathroom. Here I have one that says, don't allow your memories to be bigger than your dreams. It's right on my bathroom, you know, because we get caught up in the memory and we forget to dream. And
well, that's
part, yeah.
Well, that's another one I've got on my list is affirmations. Now, this is huge, huge. In fact, I dug out this book. Well, it's called Creating Money. But I flicked through it. So it's so old. It's got like all the brown bits there. Now, this is a book I read about that time when I got out of my marriage. So that, 20 years ago. And I looked through it because I was going to talk about creating abundance. I've highlighted stuff from 20 years ago, but it's got great affirmations in, and it's not just about money, it's about creating the life that you want. And I did the same as you. I got all the little like visitor cards, and I wrote maybe 50 affirmations that I got from this book. This book has got brilliant affirmations in it. I mean, it's got some about money. I focus on what I love, and this draws it to me. I am the source of my abundance. And it's got, creating your life work, creating, I accept prosperity and abundance into my life. I trust that everything comes at the perfect time and in the perfect way. I send love to my fears. My fears are the places within me that await my love. It's got so many great.
I love that. My fears
so
are
good.
That's I love that. Say that again if you don't mind. My fears. My fears are the place within me that await my love. That
I don't know. I was just flicking through. They've got
something along the. I heard it. I definitely received it. Yeah, because that's interesting. You say that when I have thoughts that I don't find very becoming or are repetitive thoughts, and usually if I'm having repetitive thoughts, is because there's something that I haven't been able to work out within myself to make sense of it. Especially if I'm an Aquarius moon and rising. I was born on a full moon in Aquarius, interesting enough, the day I was born. So I'm definitely out there a lot, and I have to bring myself back, but it has served me well too, because I'm able to pick up things and so forth. But I just know that if I'm having repetitive thoughts, now I don't have them as much, because I just say, well, and Michael Lee Hill taught me this. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he mentioned Aida. What I do is I just ask if the universe has something else available, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And is there something else available? Like, I don't need to, I can move to the next thought.
Yeah.
I don't have to stay stuck in, yeah.
It's awareness, once you're aware. Now, the book I read that really got me, I was like mind blown, and this is like 30 years ago. It's like, oh my God, you can actually change your thoughts. It's Your Erroneous Zones by Wayne Dyer. And I read that in one night. I couldn't put it down. And I was like, and that changed my life. To say, it was way back.
Okay, well, you and I are on the same. Let me just tell you, you talk about people that I used to sit up all night long listening to Wayne Dyer, watching his videos, Deepak Chopra, Lewis Hayes, all the, forerunners.
That
before,
was that era back then,
Yeah,
yes. They were brilliant. So that was like, oh my God, you can change it. And I got so much out of that. But it was like, not allowing, but I remember, I was putting it into practice, whereas, I'd watch a movie and normally, I'd be crying because the wife's dying or whatever. And I could actually change my thoughts to know, just different thing. And I would work on it. And, and it's such a powerful tool. And so once I, got that understanding. Oh yeah, with affirmations. So with affirmations, sorry, I knew I was going off track there. With affirmations, it's so big. So if you're looping, like you were saying, you're thinking the same thing over and over again. I mean, step one is being aware of it, which, you said you were, and that's massive. That's where I went off tangent with this book, because just to be aware that we can change our thoughts. It's not just some river flowing through us that we have no power over, because what are our thoughts and who are we? I mean, if we're aware of our thoughts, there's obviously a couple of different dynamics.
Right. Well, and that's where what's his name? The other guy that I love so much. Oh man, the little short white guy. Oprah had a series with him going on. Short white guy.
I mean, no, he's tall.
No, not Dr. Phil. He's tall. Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart Tolle. well, so it's exactly, well, Deepak, all of them have been, it's the same. Who is it that's aware of the thoughts? Like if you're able to sit and realize that there's just this, stream of thoughts that continue to play. Well, it's programming. It really is. If we think about it, right? It's just programming. It's information that we put in so we can choose a different thought, a different stream, a different frequency, a different, and move it up a notch, like what you say, like when you get to a point where you rise above the abuse and you realize this isn't, I'm not, this is not how I need to learn any longer, or to make good for my, and when I say make good, meaning, I realized that there was things that I was dealing with, karmic battles that I've been in, that I realized now were karmic, and I could have learned the lesson a long time ago, but I kept wanting things to be my way or be in control or whatever. Like, there's no winner ever. Nobody wins.
Yes, and I remind you, it's just our own journey to make us feel in a better place.
But the ego mind will tell you that you need to win, that you need to have, Right, so, and I'm so over, I don't care to be a winner of anything.
That's us to let go of the ego mind, that once we realize that doesn't have control over us. But getting back to this looping, so the tool that going back to the affirmations as well. So when you find yourself looping on, often it can be when we're doing mundane things. We might be cooking, or we might be driving, or whatever. So to be aware of the looping and then choose to change it. Like I've got my go-to affirmation, which I will just, which is one of Louise Hay's, which is every day in every way, my life is getting better and better. And if I find I'm looping on something, I'll switch to that as soon as I'm aware, and I'll get my head full of that. So, and I'll sing it, if I'm in the car, most people spend an hour in the car a day, maybe more, maybe less. That's a great time to do affirmations, to actually be aware of what the thoughts are going on in your head. And, I'll get in the car and I'll be singing my affirmations, and you can sing them out loud because, no one's hearing you, and just get, that, rhythm stuck in my head. And then for the rest of the day, that's what's looping in my head, every day in every way, my life is getting better and better. And I'm going to
start doing it. Thank you for sharing that.
That's the go-to one, but you can change it. Like at the moment, like we've just come out of winter where I've been hibernating. I put on a couple of kilos, and so now I've changed it to every day in every way, my body is getting younger and slimmer, and that's my loop at the moment. So. And it's really important. And as we said, with these these affirmations, putting them on little cards. I'd put them on the bathroom mirror. I'd put them in the kitchen. I'd put them everywhere. Stick one in the car. And so every time you see them, you start saying that affirmation, and you get out of whatever else is going on in your head.
Yes,
it's really important to train your mind. And then it's one thing to do the mental repetition, but once you can actually add the heart energy to it and feeling good because you imagine that it's happening now, and you can attach that emotional energy, tenfold, 50-fold, you'll get to that place quicker because the emotional energy is so much stronger and more powerful than the mental energy, because you can say what you want in your head, but unless you're feeling it, it's just not going to happen.
Right. Absolutely agree.
So all these little tools are so important to shift your mindset, and imagination is our most powerful tool. Was it Einstein or someone said, without imagination, and we're taught as kids, oh, it's just a kiddie thing, imagination, but imagination is the cornerstone of creation. Everything
absolutely everything well, it happens yes,
so everything starts with idea. Imagination is, we're living in the moment, and this is what I was talking about before with gratitude, to live in the moment and imagine that we're in a place where we're grateful for whatever we've got. That's living in the moment, and that is creation. Creation can only ever happen in this moment of now. Society teaches us to either catapult ourselves into the future. Where do you want to be in 5 years? What's your 10-year, plan? I save for your retirement. And that's a funny one because I never did, and I just was always just knew.
I don't either. Save my retirement.
With the changes, that's I never bothered about that. Or go into the past and stay in the past. You're stuck on people you haven't forgiven. You're stuck on not being able to understand why you were born into the situation or the family that you were. So people are stuck in the past or stuck in the future, and that takes you right out of now, which is the moment of creation. But because you're either feeling resentment or worry because you're stuck in those other places, that's what you're bringing to this now moment, and that's what you're continuing to create, because you will create whatever you're feeling in this moment. You will create it in the next moment and the next moment until you can get yourself out of it and start creating something different for yourself. Always comes back to us. We're taught to blame other people. Oh, if he changed, I'd be happy. Oh, if my mother did this and this, I'd be happy. Well, no, you've got to either come to a place of acceptance and allow people to be who they are on their own journey without trying to change them, understanding that it's all about you that has to make the changes, make the shifts. When we can get out of a place of anyone else being responsible for who we are today, that's powerful. I
was just getting ready to say to you, when I stopped expecting anybody to change for anything for myself, it's so liberating and empowering. When I realized that the only person I can change is myself, and that's it. It just took the whole world off of me. It really did. But I was going to say, you were saying, about imagination. Well, we think imagination, even the way it spells, musician. I am a musician. So are you. We are magical beings, imagination. And we all are. And we don't realize we create out of default every day. All of us.
Oh, but we're creating this moment. Every moment we created in a past moment. Nothing's just random.
Nope. Definitely. I agree. Yeah. It's pretty amazing. What was I was just going to say something. I sometimes forget what I'm going to say because I'm doing my best to be patient and listening, but I did forget there was something I was going to share with you, but that's okay.
Oh, I know. When you got a lot to say, it's so easy.
I know. And I love listening to you. It's okay. So I'm not saying just, you have a lot to say.
I often say to people, the reason I became a writer is because I was never allowed to finish what I wanted to say. I was always either shut down or talked over, and I'm pretty good in like talking one-on-one, one-on-two like this, but you put me in a group of people and I'm quite quiet, and every time I talk I always seem to get talked over, and so generally I'm a lot more quieter. But if you're a writer, you get to finish what you're going to say. No one shuts you down. No one tells you to do it a different way, and you put it out there. So you're doing, I write for myself to be able to express myself fully without anyone.
I get it. I understand.
I'm not doing it to get likes or shares or anything. It's like, well, I wanted to say this. I wanted to express myself, and here it is in its entirety. So boom. Tick.
Well, definitely don't feel shut down on this show because I love listening to you. I think you're such an inspiration. Well, you are to me and to many others. And there's many women. I did an interview with Patricia Corey earlier, which I'm so thankful. Do you know who Patricia Corey is?
I'm friends with her on Facebook.
Okay, yeah. And she's such a delight and packed full of wisdom and she's amazing. And I see, you ladies, you women are who I aspire to be like. Of course, I have my own unique, and I love that about myself, but it's you women that really get me to, want to be by your side, not behind you or in front of you, but be by your side in this. And I thank you, Gemma.
It's my pleasure because, and when we're going through these tough times, if we could only see ourselves in 20, 30 years, when, say, we get to this point where it's only because I experienced what I experienced and I got myself out the other side that now I'm able to share my journey, and then other people are drawn to it. So everything at some level is always, you know, pre-planned when we incarnate. You know, I want to do this, this, and this so that I'm who I am today. You know, or the opportunity to arrive at who I am today, and opportunity tomorrow to be even in a better place. And it's not because I want to be, it's not because we want to be a better person in the eyes of others. It's because we are actually to live in a happy, peaceful world that we've created, our immediate world. Because if you didn't want to, you wouldn't even have to go further. What they're trying to tell you is this is existing on the television or in the outer world. We don't have to know that unless it directly affects us. So to create our own inner peace and our own external, through our homes, through our family, through our situation, through our the world that we create, I mean, that's heaven. That if you can have peace and happiness in your immediate world, to me, that's like the fifth dimensional frequencies. That's what I call heaven.
Yeah. So I want to respond to that because I think it's very important. And I appreciate you saying what you just said. I will say, you know, when I first had my awakening and went through my dark night of the soul and just had to really have a look at the way I was living and the choices I was making that weren't very becoming for myself or anybody I was dealing with. And I get that now in a much bigger way than I realized then. I had such lack of self-worth and value and so forth. And I'm okay sharing that because it's not who I am today. It never really was who I was. Right. But my point in saying that is I will tell you that because of my curiosity and wanting to understand and wanting answers, that I dived, well, as you, many of us, we go down these rabbit holes. We want to know the truth. I mean, when you're talking about sex trafficking and child trafficking and the poisons that they want to, you know, have us take, and on and on and on, it really flipped my world upside down. I mean, I was stressed out. I'm lucky that I didn't end up sick as much as I took on myself. That having to face my own stuff and then the shadow of the world and what I was becoming aware of, and, you know, looking up to people and, you know, anything in a freaking robe, from priests to judges to lawyers, doctors, all of them that we have been taught to see as knowing better. That stuff took a toll on me. And I'm like, because I always knew since I was a kid, like I didn't buy into a lot of things that were, my family never understood and thought I was just this rebel. And, you know, I remember my mother saying to me, Ida, you don't listen. You just don't know. I'm way over there already because I already know what, you know, I am a Pleiadian. I say that and I don't say it like I am. I hold a Pleiadian soul and I do think differently. And I have a much more clear channel of that now than I did because I was targeted and so forth and so on. But my point in saying that is once I pulled all that, people would say, Ida, why do you watch? Why do you keep sharing all this stuff? Why do you watch that stuff? What are you worried about? Well, I had to go through what I went through in order to realize that I have to bring it back to myself, back to my heart, and do what I can in my local. Yeah. Because otherwise it will, you know, unless you have a huge presence. And look what happens, even in alternative media. We have so many people that are being used for certain agendas and, you know, to carry out, you know, certain narratives and so forth and so on. And it's like, I'm just done with it already. Like, I'm just, you know, a lady said to me today, a friend of mine who I work with on some other projects, said, Ida, a guy that was in, that's a fire, what's it called? Like works on the ambulance or something. I said ambulance. That's how I said.
Paramedic.
Yes. Okay, she said he came in today and said that never in his, and he's in his 50s, she said, in his whole time of his career, that it used to be every 3 or 4 days that they would get maybe 1 or 2 calls occasionally about a heart attack or something going on with somebody's health. Now it's every shift he's on, they're bombarded with people having adverse reactions to certain things. I'll just say that. It's horrible.
Well, it's interesting. I read something yesterday here in Australia. I mean, normally the death numbers are brought out every 6 weeks. And none of the death numbers, the reports about just not any death in Australia have been brought out since June. They're 15 weeks behind on what was always a 6-week thing. They just haven't done for 15 weeks. Because this is the thing, you know, you might know one person, someone else might know one person, but I mean, even I wrote a post a few months ago, you know, does anyone know anyone personal that's been affected by the poison or died? And it was unbelievable, the amount of people that, you know, oh yeah, it happened to my neighbor, it happened to my father-in-law, it happened to this. There was one person that knew about 40 different people, you know. It's like, but because it's, and why isn't it being reported in the news? Why?
Well, they're not going to report it because they want you to believe that it's safe.
Well, exactly. And they
Well,
keep
it's so I can't even. When she said that to me today, which I've known this in the back of my mind, but I haven't really given it, you know, because I don't make it my business to focus on heavy stuff. But I'm like, this is just crazy. And my entire family has decided to go with the status quo and do what they've done. And I just, you know, it's heartbreaking to me. I'm kind of at the, it's not that I'm cold or I have no heart. I have a huge compassionate heart. I just have gotten to the point where for my own health, I cannot allow it to pull me into this slumber and this sadness about my family.
Yeah. Well,
I love them and I love them with, you know, I love them and I want the best for every family, friends, people. You know, I come across friends that have said, yep, I've taken it. And I'm like, okay, I respect people's choices. I don't know what to think anymore, Gemma. I really don't. Not when it comes to that, like, yeah.
Yeah. One, it's accepting that just as we have our own journey, everyone else is at their own journey, and nothing is random. So, you know, some people have chosen to exit at this time. Some people have, I mean, they're also giving an opportunity for a lesson to you to find acceptance, to find that everyone has free will in making their own choices. And just as you want free will to create your next moments, they have free will to create their next moments.
Yes.
And our journey looking on and maybe not agreeing with their choices is a vital one for our own inner peace. It's finding acceptance in that. It's finding understanding that on a higher level, this is all playing out perfectly. So again, they are not responsible.
Oh, Gemma, you're so amazing. Thank you. I mean, I know everything that you're saying, and yes, I agree, but just to hear it helps me. Yeah, because it's,
I mean,
it's
on a higher, in their world, they're doing it because they believe it's the right thing to do. They're doing it out of love. They're not doing it to hurt you or me who won't do it. They're doing it because they think it's the right thing to do for humanity. And if you can look at it that way, that they have pure intentions, but it's their journey, what they create in their now moment for their next now moment. They're doing it with love. They're doing it because they believe that if a certain percentage of the people, you know, get done, you know, it will help and they'll be able to travel and have their freedom back. They don't have the same understanding that we have regarding that. And that's okay, you know. But in the meantime, what lessons can we take to create more peace in our life if something like that is upsetting us?
I think that is probably the most powerful message that will be shared on this show this evening. And I hope everybody heard what Gemma just said. I think it's important. It really is. For those that are going to be listening, that was a powerful, powerful message that you just shared, and I thank you for that, because there's so much confusion. I have people that message me constantly, sending me, I just away with it. I don't even want to, I just don't have it I want to give my energy to solutions and sharing information that is valuable, and that, like the message you just gave, that kind of thing. I don't want to stay stuck in so
that's
thank
really
you for
important
that.
to be aware of that, sort of where we can give our energy, because, well, one, to give unconditional love, we have to be full of love in ourselves, and we give that surplus as unconditional. Because if we're giving love at the cost of ourselves, and that's depleting us, we're wanting it as a transaction. We're only giving it because we want something back. Right? So it's a transaction. So the only way we can give unconditional love is to have it, be full of it in ourselves, that we can give the excess away without wanting anything back in return. And it's
yes, Gemma, you are on fire tonight. Yes.
But it's just the thing. So being aware that, for example, because we all have our ups and downs day, you can't give yourself to all those messages that you're getting with people wanting our energy. I mean, I'm the same. I get, tens of messages every day. Watch this, do that, and you have to, some days you just don't want to give them any energy, because it's going to deplete, where you can take you out of this beautiful moment that you've created.
Right.
Like you said, to be aware of, to go into the debate, the jab debate takes you to a completely different place than if you've created what I call your little bubble of heaven. So do I want to go there today? And some days, especially if it's happening here in Australia, I will be more sort of politically minded, and I'll, run a few posts where I'm very focused on what's going on in Australia. But then I can let it go and just come back. But do I want to go there? Do I really, and it sounds a bit callous, but do I really care what's happening in Sweden or da-da-da? You don't have to give your energy and care about every single event that's going on in the world, because it depletes you. And again, it takes you out of this now moment where you're creating your peace. So if you can create your peace in this now moment, then you can look at these other places, what's going on with to be aware and be compassionate, but be detached. You don't have to attach energetically and emotionally to an outcome. You can just be aware of it, observe it, but not let it pop your heaven bubble.
Well, I agree. And that is definitely a way that, okay. I'm waiting for this to stop echoing. There it goes. I agree with everything that you just said. Thank you. That's also a very powerful message that people need to hear. Energy harvesting is a thing for sure. And when we're giving our energy over to, well, I'll use me as an example. I think it was yesterday when I saw that DHS or whoever, not DHS, the Child Protective, I posted it about the foster care system, and this monster looking man, they put this monster looking man on the front thing, and he says, oh, they used me to, kidnap children or foster children and rape and torture or something. I don't know, something along those lines. Mm. And, when I had my awakening, Gemma, I was in communication with what I consider to be Mother Earth, Gaia. I don't call it Gaia, Terra. And I heard they are raping and killing my children. And this was during the time when I was using telepathy, and I had went up and came back down and, was going through my own process. So when I see things like this, and especially when it comes to children, and I'm not saying, I mean, I don't know what I was involved in. I have an idea of some of my past life and involvements and some of the things I was involved in. But when it comes to children, I don't know. It does something to me to think about the innocence of a child and the harm that's being done. It's really hard to look. I've gotten better. I used to really get entrenched in it. Now I can, it's the first time I posted something like that in, I don't know, a long time, because I just said, I can't do this anymore. It was taking so much out of me, so much of my energy, so much of, and I didn't know how to, I did a lot of transmuting, a lot for the collective, I feel. I was taking on a lot and transmuting it. But I saw that yesterday and I said, this is the elephant in the room that none of us, including myself, it's just such a horrible.
It is.
Shadow aspect of art. Yeah. So please. Yeah.
All right. So what I do then, if I feel I'm going to be overwhelmed emotionally, I look at the bigger picture, take myself right out, zoom right out and focus. So can you see it as a video game? Can you see it as an organic video game where with every thought and emotion, we're creating what we're actually seeing? So if your focus is what you're creating, you focusing on the children and especially attaching emotional energy to that is going to take you to a place where you're not in peace. So it's not that we're rejecting that it's happening, but it's not being attached with emotional awareness. Now, there are certain people that came down with missions to help the children, and that is their mission, and they are fully focused on it at this point. But if it's not in our direct path, why look over there and not be looking where we're going on our path? So unless it's part of our journey or it's affecting us directly, we don't have to give again our energy to everything. You can't give your energy to everything. This is what the news does. It'll give you 10 different stories of heartache and pain and wow, what do I focus on? What, and at the end it's just overwhelming of worry and, so, well, we all know to turn that off. But see how it works? So you can give your blessing to the children. You can trust they're in good hands. You can trust they're what they're meant to be. You can trust that they chose this journey. Now, I know you have more emotional attachment because it was part of your journey, but can you forgive it now, let it go? Do you have more healing to do around that? Do you have to sit in it for a week, a month?
No, I don't. No.
Can you let it go and trust? If you can give, if you're at the stage where you've not just forgiven, but you can give gratitude for the journey, now it's time you can let it go. If you can't give gratitude for the journey yet, you've still got work to work on the forgiveness. If you can't forgive yet, you've still got work to do on your healing. So it's all a process, but once you can give gratitude, if it's no longer on your path, let it go and look ahead instead of looking behind.
I appreciate that.
Where your focus is, that's what you're creating with your next step,
Well, it definitely, I appreciate everything that you just said, and I appreciate that. So I will take heed. I don't create those things for myself anymore. Actually, I live a pretty happy, joyous life, and I do what I can to be of service in my area, however I can, with youngins at work, with the elderly, whatever I can do to really, just be a nurturing guidance, love, and sometimes I can be, I can have a pretty direct tongue, and but it's usually after some frustration, after I've repeated myself a million times. Sometimes I feel like, okay, all right already, but I appreciate what you just said. It did show up in the news feed, and when I seen them, so you just reminded me that no, I don't have to go back to that, and I won't. And I do believe I've healed a great deal of.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. I mean, in a newsfeed, anyone that puts up a whole heap of negative posts, I usually unfollow them.
I'm going to take it down now that you just said.
You don't have to unfriend them, but you just don't see their posts if you're scrolling through the news feed. I only want, it's all about, and this is another one I've got on my list, is creating your own space. So, that can start with Facebook. If you're scrolling through and, you stop at a post and you really wish that you hadn't seen it, it doesn't bring joy or awareness or give you something, you can just unfollow that person, or if it's, you get a lot of people things you're not even friends with, the posts that come up, you can choose to not see them. It's really about creating your own space on social media and also in your home, in your house. clear out the clutter. I went through, because, I mean, when I grew up, like we had all the normal photos, I went through photo albums and boxes and threw away any photo that didn't bring a smile to my face. Went through the lot, and I threw away a heap of photos. People think we have to hold on to everything.
I know, I just did that. So that's funny that you said that.
Yeah.
I don't know that I was looking one that didn't bring me a smile to my face, but I'll tell you, I got rid of a lot of old photos of people that I have it just is not part of my reality now, period.
Yeah.
And I just don't need to hold on to them. And I believe energetically we do. When we hold on to those photos, we continue the energetic cord that needs to be let go of. I get it.
Let go emotionally. And it's not like, oh, I'm so angry at this person, I'll throw the photo out. I mean, you get to a place where, okay, I was angry with you, but you're just not part of my reality anymore. Don't need you. So, just declutter, because what is in your immediate physical space is a representation of what's in your physical body. So is it cluttered? You're probably going to have cluttered minds. Have you got a lot of things from the past? You're still living in the past. Things like that. Create a space that what makes you feel good in this moment. I mean, I have just, I don't know, I love my space. It's just things that bring you joy, flowers or crystals or books or whatever brings you joy in your space. Clean it up, and you'll feel a lot lighter. And
I just did all that, so we're running on the same frequency, Gemma. I just actually I had a bag full of stuff that I would, I'm a boot and jacket girl. Okay, I love boots and jackets. Yeah, and I do like a nice high heel shoe. Of course, I don't wear them as much as I used to, but I still, if I want to, and I go, I don't have a problem putting on some nice jeans and a sweater or whatever. Yeah. But anyways, I went through my stuff and said, okay, I'm going to get rid of it. And then I said, well, now because business has dropped so much and I've invested in creating, what I shared with you earlier, the salves, I took a few things back out and I took some of it and went to go donate. But I said but I have gotten rid of a lot. And like you, I mean, I keep crystals and I keep all kinds of goodies around me. I have all kinds I have pyramids and crystals and plants and beautiful art. And I live alone. I'm by myself. I mean, I don't have children, but I love my space, and I love, the complex I live in is pretty nice. And I live in a fairly deep, a nice area. And I'm very grateful and very thankful. I'm very grateful and thankful for you, Gemma. I'm so thankful to connect with. Seriously, I mean that. Some of the people that I have befriended recently, in the past few years, have been on Facebook. Our tribes are coming together. Us women are coming together. People are coming together, and we're doing amazing things together. We're co-creating. We're sharing our experiences. And for those that are, how many people? Patricia Corey, I was listening to 10, 12 years ago.
Wow.
And I was able to interview her today and connect with her and finally feel like I'm at I don't put anybody on a pedestal, but I will tell you, I give people credit where it's due. And you as a writer, her as a writer, your work, things, I started writing, I have half of a book, that. There will be a day when I finish that book. I trust it will happen. But right now, just connecting with amazing women like yourself, and your messages are so powerful. And I know, as much as I resonate, I know so many other people are going to resonate with this. I'm so thankful.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my joy to do this. I mean, we all like talking about ourselves, I guess. So
it's okay. I mean, who else better to talk about? Well, it's not in a narcissistic way. It's about saying, hey, wait a minute, we've had these experiences. And if, and for those that are listening, if you have experiences or you have any challenges or, you feel challenged by things that are happening around you, there are so many people, there's so many groups, there's people like myself, like Gemma, others that you can reach out. I talk to people, they'll send me, I got a message the other day from a lady, I just want to let you know your posts have been helping me for so, I was like, thank you. Big love. I got you. Like, I don't need to be stiff and act like I'm somebody special and I can't respond to, you know what I mean?
Well, that's not being authentic, is it?
Well, no, it's not. And I want people to know that they can come to me and they can, whether it's a message like that or, hey, you know, if there's something that I can help and people are genuinely wanting help and are willing to do the work, I'm willing to help. I just don't have patience for, you know, if somebody's constantly coming to me with the same stuff and they're not willing to do the inner work or do anything to help themselves, I don't have patience for it. I won't have patience.
More that they just want your energy, your attention. If you've, you know, I mean, you can only help people who are going to help themselves, who want to help themselves. And this is a big part of, again, creating our energetic space, being aware of, is this situation, is this person depleting me of energy, giving me of energy? Because even if someone wants our help, if it doesn't bring us joy to be able to help them, we don't have the energy to give them. It's not, there's no resentment, you know, all these 10 people are asking me for help. You help people who you've got the extra energy to be able to help them, again, with no expectation of return. Or again, it's a transaction. You start feeling resentment, you start feeling in a different place. But if you're happy to help someone, you've got that extra energy that you can give it for free. And this is about being in a place of service to others. But you can only do that when you've fully serviced yourself.
Absolutely agree.
And you've healed, you've got you're so full of, you've got your little heaven bubble, and you've got enough in that to be able to give someone else. And it brings you
love
joy.
this. I love this, Gemma. I love
you joy to help. So
yes.
you know, it's
I get resentful sometimes. Well, I get, you know who I get resentful? I get resentful towards the one, I mean, and I don't like feeling that way. So I end up like having to pull myself back and like withdraw a bit. Because if every time I'm talking to you, life is woe is me, it's difficult. I've never, you know, I remember when I was younger, like my family, for instance, like when I was going through, I was having a difficult time processing being abused as a child, and I won't go into details, but a lot of horrible things. And then I start living a very promiscuous life. I had lovers. I was in, you know, third party situations, the whole bit. I will never live like that again, ever. I love myself today. I honor and respect myself in a way, you know, but I do have gratitude for the experience and what I was to learn from that. Yes. Yeah. So, but I remember being young. Being younger and constantly like repeating, like, I'll say this, you know, my mother, I remember being so angry with my mother, Gemma, I couldn't be around her for 1 minute. Like she couldn't breathe right.
I got a mom like that too.
Yes. Okay. She couldn't breathe right. She used to do certain things with her hand, like just everything bothered me. And I don't know what came over me, but I'm very thankful it did. Something came over me and said, go to Arizona. It's time to make amends. And I was still living, you know, sex, drugs, and rock and roll at the time, but I've been in and out of my journey a lot, you know, getting clean, going, you know, whatever. Of course, all of that's will never be a part of my life again. But anyways, long story short, so I went out there and I remember saying to my mom, I was like, Mom, do you know that your children love you? And she responded to me and said, yes, Ida, but some of my children, I'm not very happy about some of their choices. And I knew who she was talking about because I had a brother that I had a couple brothers that molested me, and I'm okay to, you know, I'm pretty open and it doesn't affect me anymore. So, but anyways, and I said, well, you know, I said to her, I said, you know, Mom, I choose to love you instead of hate you. And she looked at me, and that next morning, Gemma, I woke up and my mother was like an angel to me. I wanted to cook for her. I wanted to take care of her. I wanted to hear her stories. I don't know what it was. I believe it was my time to make amends, because I also at this time said to her, I'm very sorry for the way I treated you, Mom. I love you, and yeah.
Yeah, see how it happens with forgiveness and finding that place of acceptance for our journey. The beauty is that once you do that, like you just said, you just felt amazing after that. And that was another piece of your life that fell into place and brought you more.
It was unbelievable. I can't even tell you. I don't mean to overtalk you, but I can tell everybody it was like I was in a whole nother, it was unbelievable. I mean, I went from being angry and resentful and really having a lot, I don't like to use the word hate, but just a lot of very pained up by not understanding why I wasn't protected and valued as a child and all the things, to saying, okay, and having compassion for my mother. She went through the same thing. I mean, back in those days. Yeah, exactly. So, but I also know when she passed away, and I'll be honest with you, and there was somewhat of a relief that I didn't have to ask her anything anymore. Like, she wasn't there for me to want an answer from her that she could not give me. She could not give me.
Communicate with her now. Remind me of that, because I'm going to go back to just say quickly. We often think that forgiveness is something we do for someone else, but it's not. It's a gift to ourselves. And if people only realize that forgiveness is giving, we no longer have to attach ourselves to an uncomfortable event. We no longer have to make someone else responsible for our happiness, for our healing. So it really is, forgiveness is a gift to ourselves, and that's an important piece of the puzzle. So going back to what you said about your mother, so this is what I'm getting for you, is to communicate with your mother now, is, to get yourself in a meditative state. I mean, people meditate. This is another thing I've got on my list about meditation. I don't do it so much anymore, but I did it when my writing started coming through. So people think quieten your mind, but I always say, if you focus on your heart, your mind will naturally quiet. So if you focus on your gratitude, on your heart, shift your focus to your heart, your mind will quieten, and the thoughts will go away. So when you get yourself into this beautiful space of love and gratitude by focusing on your heart, you can bring your mother in there. You can do this with anyone. I do it with a whole lot of people that I want to talk to. Bring them into that beautiful bubble of love and peace and gratitude, and just sit with them. You can hold their hands. You can invite them to, if they want to hold your hands. If there's a bit of resentment still, they might, you might not feel to. Just do whatever comes naturally, and don't formulate the questions, the conversation. It's like telepathic, like we were talking about before. And always trust that your first answer, or what you're getting is the truth, because with telepathy, the thought will arrive faster than your mind can articulate. So with your mind, the answers are always a bit delayed, because your mind is actually formulating the answer. But with telepathy and instant communication, it's literally boom, 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 boom. And you got to learn to trust it. You've got to learn to go with it. So if you want to, communicate more with your mother and clear stuff up, that's what I would recommend, to bring her into this beautiful space where only love exists. And you remember that she now, where she is now, is in a totally different level than she was in her human state, with her human awareness, her human wounds, her human perceptions. So bring her in now as this beautiful light being. You're
getting, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so lovely, Gemma.
Just let the communication flow. And I think that maybe is, a beautiful healing tool that, you're ready to go with. You can do it with past lovers. You can do it with current lovers. You can do it with just anyone that you want to talk to. Even if you are having an issue with a friend or a family member, You can do this because you can bring in their higher self instead of their human self, and you can communicate with them on a higher level, and that will filter some way into their human self. You know, there's lots of different things you can do around that.
I'm going to start. I've heard of this before, and of course I know this, but now that you have, I'm going to start practicing it a little bit more. It's time for me to do a huge release.
Beautiful. Wow.
Yeah, it is. It's time.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I've done it. I've done a great deal of it, but I just really want to move into my heart space in a big way now. And
you're ready. You're so ready. You are.
Yeah, I am.
I mean, literally, you can do it.
It's just a surrender to my heart, really. There's no more. I have no more. You know, there's nothing else to. There's no more blame. There's no more. None of it. I just don't have it in me anymore. I don't really. It's.
And that's freedom, isn't it? Once you can get to that point, that is freedom, and that then manifests you with freedom in the external world. See, you know, if we're not free internally, it's impossible to be free in our external world. And as I said last show, so many people try and change the external world to find their freedom and happiness without understanding that they're aligning currently with what they're embodying inside. So if they're not free of people, emotions, situations, there's no way in hell they're going to be free and happy in the outside world. Got to come back and work on the inside, your inside world, which then energetically is manifested beautifully in your outside world. And this is why the journey always brings us back to our own healing, our own thoughts, our own emotions. It's all there. As I said, you know, you've got your emotional body, you've got your mental body. That there is your world. That is your quantum field. So unless you can make those happy and peaceful, you know, you're not going to see it with your own eyes and feel it in your heart. So important.
Yeah. I'm imagining in my mind as you're speaking and doing this work, and I'm going to make it my business to, you know, maybe, well, I don't know how, I don't want to say something and then not follow through with it, but I am going to, because I'm real hard, not hard on myself, but if I say I'm going to do something, I like to follow through with it. Otherwise, you know,
integrity to yourself. Yeah.
Okay. I got to be accountable to myself. So, but I definitely will be using that tool to do some release work and, you know, and healing.
Once you know that space, you recognize it. See, this is when I first started meditating. I would just get into that space, and that's when after 3 or 4 months, my poetry just started coming through my writing. So I wasn't expecting it. It was just, I would just sit in this beautiful bubble. I knew now I could connect to a source. I could connect to my higher self, but not with any agenda. I could just sit in that space, and it wasn't like, oh, meditation, tick, tick, tick. How long is it going to be? I can't get rid of my thoughts. It was actually a pleasure to stay in that space. Now I can hit that space instantly now without even having to go through the whole process. I know it's there. I know it's part of me. I've, you know, strengthened my connection there. And so to start with, you know, it might take you a little time to get into that space, but hands on heart, focusing on your breathing, just being aware of your senses. You know, you can feel the air going in your nostrils. You can feel your chest rising. Just bring you back right into the now. And then to be able to, each time it'll get easier and easier. And also it's a beautiful space to do your manifesting in, because you are in this bubble of loving and creation, which is the frequency of 5 to 8 hertz, which is the frequency of love and creation. So whatever, when we go back to imagining, you know, imagining where you want to be, it's so real in that moment that you are actually creating it. It's and you can do that, and you want to, and it brings you so much joy and happiness that you can stay there easily for half an hour.
I've had my moment. I mean, I definitely used to be able to. I mean, I've experienced 0 point big time. Like I was manifesting from that space.   when I had my awakening and so forth, and through, you know, the 5 to 8 hertz, which is the frequency of love and creation. So whatever, when we go back to imagining, you know, imagining where you want to be, it's so real in that moment that you are actually creating it. It's and you can do that, and you want to, and it brings you so much joy and happiness that you can stay there for half an hour. I had my moment. I mean, I definitely used to be able to. I mean, I've experienced 0 point big time. Like I was manifesting from that space when I had my awakening and so forth, and through, you know, Well, I mean, this is not, I'm not saying this from a place of victimhood. The truth is I was targeted and I did go through being, energetically attacked, and they used weapons on me and the whole bit, although I'm alive and I'm very thankful. And I was able to get myself out of that. And that's not, I believe I'm done with that aspect of, right. So, but I used to be able to just go straight into 0 point and sit still. I mean, it was a bliss feeling and like overwhelming love that if you haven't experienced it, it's really
that's the frequency.
Yeah, but I haven't gotten back to that since then, and I need to, and I know I can, but I've been so I think I'm ready to go back to be able to sit with myself in that space. I have moments where I sit for, some time, but it's not for any length, I don't do it for long periods of time.
Well, the longer you can
I want to do the thing where holding the hand and I'm sorry.
The longer you can, going back to creating in that bubble of a manifestation, the longer you can hold that feeling, more quickly and more strengthened you're going to align with it in the quantum field. Now, the other thing is to only focus on the feeling that you want when you get your desire. For example, people think they want a big house. Well, some people do. But what's the feeling you want with the big house? Is it security? Is it love? Is it peace? What feeling is it? It's not the object that's going to bring you happiness. It's the feeling the object or the situation gives you that's going to bring you happiness.
Sure.
Right? So that's the other thing about, coming back into the moment. So if you think, oh, a big house, it's going to bring me security and freedom, feel that now with the house that you've got, and eventually you will just be happy with what you've got. It's always the feeling. We're taught that bigger and better is going to bring happiness and peace. It's not. It's just finding that happiness in what you've got. So always, you want a relationship. Well, why do you want a relationship? What do you want to feel? Feel that. So when we're in this meditative bubble of creation, feel what you want to feel. It's the feeling, not the object.
Oh, Gemma, I want to make love again. I want to meet my beloved. I want to kiss. I want to lay under the stars. I want somebody to hold my hand. It's not that I need it, but I want that.
I know. So in this bubble, bring him in this same bubble that, another day that, you're not meeting your mum. Bring him in and feel that, you can hug yourself. I always fall asleep hugging myself.
I laid and rubbed my arms and I'll run my hands through my hair and just like Ida, I wake up. I love you, Ida. I love you, Source. I always put myself first, not in a way that, people say put God first.
Because everything starts with you.
Right. Yeah. And I go to bed and I don't wake. So, I mean, some days I still wake up with some chattering going on, but I just redirect my thoughts back to myself. And I really have just in this past year have come a long way with a lot. Like it just was ready for me to finally give up the, holding on. I never like to see myself as a victim. I never, I'm not one that plays victim. Like I actually, the opposite. I don't have time to be a victim. I need to get up and keep going. But I didn't have compassion for myself, which made it hard to have compassion for other people because I'm like, get out of that. It's, we got to get going. There's something to do. We don't have time to. And I never allow myself to really feel, not to be a victim, but to say, okay, you experienced that. It's okay to be upset about that because Gemma, I will tell you, when I have memories of being hung by my feet and them trying to push me into an electrical board and blow me up, I have memories of it. It was horrid, horrible, horrible, horrible. They tried to take my soul out of my body, put me in another body. I could go on. The point is, those weren't very nice memories. And I was stuck in it for a long time. I was angry. I was upset. I was upset to be told that I was offered up and as a sacrifice to Moloch. And I know these things are, people say, oh, well, those are your past lives and that's what you're having a memory of. No, they came after me in this lifetime. I have evidence of it. It's clear. I have police reports, the whole bit. Nobody would help me. Of course, whatever. And it's because I have a Pleiadian soul, and I do have a body that has AI that runs through me. And I'm okay saying that. I mean, I am a living, I do have a soul, so don't misunderstand me. But people need to understand that there are many, I've heard that Pleiadian souls and other souls, not just Pleiadian, but high vibrational souls. And it's not like I'm high and I'm certain souls have to have certain bodies for the soul to be able to be housed in that body in order to be able to navigate and function in this reality. Something along those lines. So,
so there's a couple of things that came up there. One, okay, on a high level, you're such a strong soul to create that situation before you came in. But as a child, I'm so sorry that you weren't kept safe. Now, have you, in this creative bubble that I talk about, you can bring in you as a 7, 8, 9, however old you were, bring her in and talk to her as you are now, or take yourself to that situation that you've got where you are hanging by your feet and talk to her as the woman you are now.
Okay, so that wasn't, okay, so just let me just share this with you. That wasn't as a little girl. That was as an adult that I was taken out of my body to be, so I was doing multidimensional battle, basically, is what I was doing. And I'm not going to mention a name, but there's somebody that seems to think that I sacrificed myself to take out a bunch of reptilians. Now, if that's true, I'm very sorry. That is, as my human self, I don't know that I agreed to that. All I know is I was being used for I don't know what, okay? And I just remember, well, I had a memory, and then the next day I woke up and there was in my news feed, Aida, AI gone rogue. So I watched it and I knew they were talking about me. So this was my higher self, my family, my soul family, my star family, whatever you want to call it, helping me to put the pieces together of what had taken place. And I was told that they did try to take my soul out of my body and put me in another body. Because when you're using these, my lab, military, whatever, they do augments on the body and so forth. Yeah. And, in order to be able to, I don't know enough to really speak to it other than what I can recall. I do know that it's been confirmed that I was used as a sacrifice to Moloch. And I just remember running from somebody. They had these long needle-like, and they wanted to put it in my head, and I got away from them. Next thing you know, I was hanging by my feet, and they were pushing me, trying to get me to hit this board, like to blow me up. And somehow I flipped up, untangled my feet and flipped out of it and ran into this like storefront or something, called the police. I woke up, and then I saw that in my news feed that morning when I woke up, which was mind blowing. So whatever the case may be, yeah.
Where did this happen? Like, did this happen down in the Dums or?
I don't know if it was no, I don't think it was in the Dums. I think, I watched James Casbolt a long time ago, and he mentioned that especially women have been taken to Saturn and hung by these trees. And the only reason I knew he knew what he was talking about is I had my memory and knew I had the experience. So when he shared it, it blew my mind. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So what they would do, people, okay, I'll just say this. I don't want to get too deep into this discussion, but people think Jesus was sacrificed. It was never Jesus. It's always been the divine feminine, always been the divine feminine. Okay. And I will just leave that right there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Okay.
Because we're the creators. I mean, we create life. But I mean, I know we need the masculine aspect, but it's the creation of the heart. The woman is the heart. Yeah.
Yeah. It's still now. And people think, and I'm not saying that that he did, I mean, I love him. He's on the planet. We're all here. He's here. And I say this, and I won't go into it. And I love him, and I care deeply about him. And, one day he'll know that in a much bigger way. But anyways, I don't, we're all here to learn to clear our karma, to heal, to forgive, to come back together. And do I, I'm not a person, I do believe in love and light, but I believe in true light, not this superficial, everything's love and light and peace and love, no, not for me at least. I have my moments.
It's not a word, it's an embodiment,
Well, that's right, exactly.
You can see it, yeah, you can just see it.
But some people, yeah, they take it to a whole nother, yeah.
But that's where they are on their journey, they have good intentions, they want to get to this place.
No, I think a lot of it is evading dealing with what, and I don't mean to cut you off, sorry about that, but honestly, Gemma, I've observed for a long time, and it's no judgment, but I just see what I see. And I just feel like a lot of it is used for, it's like spiritual bypass and not really doing the inner work, and everything is all, hippie, love, light, everything's no, there's work to do, people. I'm sorry.
They'll get, see, we only make changes when we're in a place of pain, emotional pain, physical pain. You know what it's like when you've got physical pain. It's like, oh God, how can I relieve this? It's same with emotional pain, mental pain. So, I mean, those people who are, bypassing, that's where they are on their journey. And it's like, if you don't know darkness, you don't appreciate the light. So we all go through phases, it's knowing the theory is sort of like 10%. So they're at that point where they know the theory, they know where they want to be. But the other 90% of the journey that we're walking is the actual embodiment of putting this theory into practice, of being the light and the love. What does it take? Well, one, it takes clearing out our own vehicle, like healing, bringing light and peace into that, and then reflecting it into the outside world. As I said, this is the 90% of understanding. And we only ever know what we know. We don't know what we don't know.
Well,
so
right.
Those people are doing the best they can. They have good intentions. They're proud of themselves because they're on their healing journey. They think they're doing good. Same with the people that we spoke about that are taking the jab. They have the good intentions of being where they are. I mean, unsolicited advice is a thing that we learn on the journey. They're at the stage where, maybe they want to help everyone without being asked. I mean, as you walk your journey, you understand that unless you're asked, people probably don't want to hear your advice,
Oh, thank you for that, because that's a lesson I need to learn. Yeah, I'll be honest.
Go through that.
Well, I've gotten better, because I used to talk to the cab driver, the bus driver, my mother, it didn't matter, man, woman, or child. You were going to hear me out, because I was.
How did that work for you?
Not very well. Yeah, exactly. It was. I really was very indignant and very, yeah. And I will make a public statement to apologize for that.
Go back to that time. You were doing it with good intentions. You thought you were doing the right thing. You were trying to help people. But it's just a stage that we all go through on our journey. The same as these that are spiritually bypassing, and everything's all love and light when inside they're in turmoil, and maybe the outside world is in turmoil, but they know where they want to get to. It's just all steps on the journey.
Gemma, you're so amazing. Thank you. Thank you for that. I will never claim to be, I don't think any of us arrive, but we are at different stages in our journey, and you have been so helpful this evening, sharing, not just for me. I mean, I know that I've had my experience, but there's so many other people out there that have either, very similar experiences as I've had, that this will be helpful for, and especially women. It's important. Us women need to stick together. It's nothing against men. I love men. But I think that more women need to come together and lift each other up and support each other. And I see it happening more. I mean, I'm creating that for myself. I'm inviting women like yourself in my space to be able to have these conversations and use myself as a as an example to say, hey, look, I haven't made all the best choices in my life. I didn't have it all, I didn't get it overnight. Like it's a process. It's different stages of our expansion and growing our soul and becoming learned and,
I mean, even now, we think we're in a good place, but there's always further to go. I mean, there's further to go on our individual journey. There's further to go in a relationship. There's just so much more to go. But as I said, we only ever know, and we think we know it all wherever we are. As teenagers, we thought we knew it all.
Oh, absolutely.
And, when we were in abusive relationships, we thought we knew it all. We knew what they were doing wrong. And then. Even now we think we know it all, but we don't. And this is what I love about growth. I have to be, I just adore growth. And it's that amount, anytime you're feeling pressure, you've got some expansion to do to break through another level. And I just love it. It just brings me so much joy in my journey to, sort of continue to expand and just be in a better and better place. And I just love it. Any triggers, any pressure, you bring it back to you and you can work through it, and it just gets easier and easier and easier. So you literally do create, to say, your own bubble of heaven. And that's, I like to say it's 5D, it's a higher density. Heaven is a place on earth, and you create it for yourself in your own space, in your own mental body, in your own emotional body, which brings it to the physical body, which brings it to your external. And that's
absolutely, I absolutely agree with you. And for the most part, I do have those experiences now. We are multidimensional, and we can easily, if we, it's about sustaining the frequency and going above. So people think that, okay, we got to make it to the 5th dimension. Okay, well, there's other, don't limit yourself there, because you can go even higher. Yeah. But as far as the physical reality, I think it's like the 6th or 7th density. That's when we become more fluid and out of the, like fifth dimension is still a physical experience. Should I say a material experience or physical experience? Does that make sense?
Yeah, physical. Yeah.
Because I remember, the colors, everything was, the colors were amazing, and I still have. So I kind of go between 4 and 5 more now than, like,
fourth is really important, because that's when the healing journey is. And I always think of it as, and I mean, it's just my, how I interpret my own experiences. But when, you can just live your day, the next day in this bubble. And I mean, I'm not talking about a little isolated bubble. I'm talking about a bubble that extends my whole world. Nothing sort of triggers you, or if it does, you bring it back to yourself. That to me is 5th density living. I mean, what else do you want in life other than peace and
self-awareness and to experience joy and to bring it to, but I'm a big advocate for being mindful of the energy we bring to other people, right? And where we go, and putting a smile on somebody's face. Not that we, it's not like every day, let me go see, but I do, because it's who I am and it's what I be, and love is what I be. I am somebody that holds a lot of high vibration, love, kindness, a lot of affection and compassion, but I am learning, like yourself, and you are a big, you are somebody that I admire for this. Like, I'm learning, Gemma, to know where to share and extend my energy and where not to. I'm getting better. I'm not.
Massive.
Yeah.
And
I'm not where you're, I mean, I'm getting there. Maybe I am and don't realize it, but I just don't give my energy freely like I used to.
Right.
I don't say yes to things I don't want to say yes to anymore. I don't want to people please. I'm not looking for validation. I don't need anybody to say what none of that. Like, I don't care, not in competition, none of it. I hold myself accountable, and I do challenge myself, but I don't look to to create havoc or, you know, I
Yeah,
learned
no,
a big
that's such a
lesson
good
with my,
place to be. Yeah, especially as women. You know, I mean, it's tough when you're, you know, if you've got kids, your kids are young. If you've got a demanding husband, it's just all these things that certain, or you've got a family, a pair, maybe parents that need you. It is tough if you're in this situation of chaos and drama that, you know, you feel you owe people your energy. But if it's affecting you and your health and your peace of mind and your emotional body, you've got to step back. And so where can I take back some more of my own energy? And what you said about learning to say no is vital, because people will keep on and on and on and on at you if you give your energy freely, because, you know, people want your attention, they want your energy because they don't have enough energy of their own. So it's just really feeling into, you know, you get so in tune with your body, you know, does the situation expand your heart? You know, you're there, oh yes, I want to do that. You know, you can feel your whole body opening. Yeah, I want to do that. Or is it like, oh, shoulders hunched and, oh, I don't really want to do that. That's your body saying no. It's holding your energy in your space.
I'm paying attention to that more now.
Or is it holding it in?
Yes.
You listen to your body with it. How do you get a message like, oh, I want to, you know, come over. I want to, you know, have a chat. Does that make you feel, oh yeah? Or does that make you feel, but you go anyway? You're depleting your energy, or you've got enough energy that it's actually going to bring you joy to talk to this person. You know, there's so much awareness. Our body is the most amazing tool. If you can tune into it, it'll give you the answers. It'll just, is it saying?
So that's
yes,
interesting that you say that, because I catch myself like sometimes, you know, I live alone. I'm by myself often. You know, unless I go to work or if I stop at the CBD cafe, I don't really, I went on a trip by myself to go see the dolphins in downtown Jacksonville at the river.
Beautiful,
I do things by myself a lot, and I'm okay with that. I do enjoy company. You know, I don't have people in my home. I used to, and I was doing detoxes out of my home until I got a space in the salon. And then I realized I had to constantly clear my space. When you walk in my house, people immediately are like, wow, it feels so good in here.
Yeah,
I mean, I keep my space clear and yeah. So when I'm feeling it to be heavy, I know it's not often it gets like that. I don't get to that point where it feels that way. So, you know what I mean? But there has been a few times where I've like, okay, I clearly could feel the, it's like almost like a cut in the energy. You just feel it. So, and usually if I'm taking on other people's stuff, and I'm a huge empath, and I've taken other people's emotional body and I have to transmute and clear, and I don't want to do it anymore. So my point and what you was just saying, I don't ignore the way my body feels anymore.
Yeah.
Now it's like, okay, if I'm starting to feel like you're like this, I've got to walk away. I can't do it.
Yes.
And it's not, I just won't do it. I won't, I have to protect myself. I don't want to give my energy away like that. I'm very good at uplifting and helping other people, get their dreams going and getting them, in the direction to help them feel excited for their life. And I wasn't doing it for myself. And now I wake up excited for life. I wake up looking for the next thing that I'm going to, what am I going to learn today? What does the universe have for me today? I don't have to learn out of pain any longer. I can have joyful experiences that I can learn from now. It doesn't have to be some traumatic thing, like we can learn just as much valuable lessons through joyful conversations like this, helpful conversations like this. It doesn't have to be a big dramatic situation going on for me anymore.
Not any lessons. But another thing that just came up now when you were talking about giving your energy away and depleting energy, it's my understanding, I haven't read it, it's just how I feel, is sickness and ill health will only manifest in a body that is depleted of energy. So if you keep your energy high and you're not giving it away where you don't have it to give, your body stays healthy. So it's really important for our physical body, because again, everything, as I said, that's manifested in your emotional body. So if you've got resentment in your emotional body because you have to keep giving yourself, that's going to manifest as sickness in your body. Now, we're talking 3 weeks ago about that book, and I brought this one, Power versus
Power
Force.
versus Force.
And
I have it. Yeah.
Yeah, it is David Hawkins, and this will go through. And so there's a certain level where under 200, whatever, however he gauges energy, is your invicta mentality, and that's the area that you will manifest sickness in your body and in health. And anything above that, which is courage and up, you will manifest a healthy body. So
I've got to order that. I saved it to order it, and I didn't order. I want to read that book.
Yeah,
I think it's very important.
Yeah, it is, just to understand. I mean, I had a good emotional awareness before, but this sort of just concreted the word. I got this years ago, probably. I don't know, maybe 7 years ago. It's really good. I've got them. Oh no. So yeah, it goes through the levels. So there's 17 levels of consciousness. So we're going to start at the lowest, and it just goes to show what you're embodying is what you're creating. So the lowest is shame. Then going up, we've got guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride. Now, all those are victim mentality. So it's now when you get above 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. When you get on to number 9, which is courage, everything starts shifting. That's where the glass becomes half full instead of half empty. So then we go through, and these aren't in like, what's the word when things are mathematically multiplied? Like, you know, to get from shame, guilt, apathy, maybe you just jump a little level, but these things are like tripled and quadrupled and tenfold.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Can I just finish reading the list?
Yes, absolutely. Sorry.
So then we're going to go up to neutrality, willingness, acceptance, reason, love, joy, peace, and number 17 is enlightenment. So you go through those levels, and you know, it's not just something you do day to day, it takes lifetimes, but it's all in this book, and it'll just give you your aspect of life and the emotion that goes through it. For example, you know, with courage, the process is empowerment. With you know, neutrality, the process is release, the emotion is trust, the life view is satisfactory, the God view is enabling. It's just like, this is on page.
Wait, the God, say that again. The God view is enabling. Is that what you said?
Yeah, that was for neutrality. So it's really good on this page 72. It just goes through, you know, the whole brief. And for every of those levels, it's got, you know, like, for example, guilt, the God view is vindictive. Shame, it's despising. So your God view improves, your life view, you know, life view for guilt is evil. Shame is miserable. Then you go up. Reason is meaningful. Willingness is hopeful. And the emotions that go through it, you know, like joy, the emotion is serenity. But with desire, the emotion is craving. See, there's a difference there. And you've got the process. It's just so good, just for awareness, because as I said, awareness is key. We can't change something we're not aware of. So that just really ties in, and it's easy to read. He's brilliant, this guy. And he's got quite a few other books that I've ordered. I just don't read anymore. I've got all these books. I just figure I'll put them on. I've got a bookcase for you. I've just done another bookcase in my bedroom. I said I'll put them all there and I'll absorb them through osmosis as I'm sleeping.
Yeah, there you go.
The intention.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you get to a point where you know your own truth and you're not relying on someone else's truth. Like, even though this book is brilliant and he's analyzed this truth through kinesiology, you know, he's tested everything.
Well, that's I want to get that. I mean, I'm like you. I mean, I definitely appreciate my own experiences and truth and knowingness and tapping in and information and so forth. But you know, sometimes reading other people's work, well, your work sometimes just really helps me to see things from a different perspective that sometimes, so I go in and out with it. Like sometimes I'll get where I want to lay on the couch and read a book, you know, in a couple of days and get through it and just kind of shift my thoughts and stuff. But real quick, let me just show you. Gemma, somebody threw this out in the apartment where I went through my targeting and so forth, and you know, I've doused it to make sure that there's nothing connected to it.
What is it?
But I've doused it to make sure there's no negative energetic. You know, books
what's the book?
I'm sorry.
What's the book?
It's called A Woman's Best Years. The Art of Staying Young. And the woman, whoever threw this out, it's mind-blowing.
Wow. Oh,
it says, amazing. This copy of the first edition is humbly inscribed by the author for the very soul human being, Ruth Helen Kaufman, with a key nani nani, and then she wrote the musical notes.
Amazing, that's beautiful.
Yes, and this November 23rd, 1934.
Wow.
New York City.
Beautiful. Where did you find that?
It was in the trash in the apartment that I lived in.
Amazing.
So I got I haven't read the whole thing, but
wow,
you know, mental strangulation and so this goes 1934. Wow. It says mental strangulation and family style, sexual loneliness. It's got all kinds of.
What's it called again? Let's see if I get a women's what?
It's called A Woman's Best Years. Long and Smith. It looks like the publishing company was Long and Smith.
Well, who's it written by?
Ruth Helen Kaufman is her name.
Ruth Helen Hoffman?
Kaufman, Kaufmann.
Oh, okay. I'll have a look if it's still available.
Yeah, it says how to be happy. I'll read
it, but I like to have it.
Yeah, how to be happy, though human, calm your nerves. How to be happy through, I think it meant through human, calm your nerves, the prevention and cure of nervous breakdown, the pattern of life, your nervous child, understanding human nature, individual psychology, the psychology of sex, the evolution of modern psychology. It just goes on. It just says the art of staying young. But
it's amazing that I think this was all relatively common awareness like centuries ago, but you know, over the past, well, since about 600, since you know, the Bible was changed and everything was brought into religion, you know, all that sort of stuff has been slowly taken out of society so that, you know, people depended more and more on the church. But it's fascinating. I mean, if you break it down, I'm sure all our, you know, like traditional elders and, you know, that was all knowledge that was just all known and passed on. But what's the word? I can't think of the word.
It's okay.
You know, like shut down and, you know, just suppressed.
Suppressed, yes.
Yeah, from
well, you know, I just opened it up to one area just to look as you were talking, and it said marriage or career. I mean, this is the miracle of rebirth. women being more nearly nature's children than men do not offend so much as men, and the fanaticism of logic. Women are closer to the rhythm of nature.
Yeah.
I mean, this is probably, I need to read the book. Yeah. I've held on to it. 1934, that's pretty, you know, amazing. Almost 100 years.
See, the thing is, it's not even just about men and women. It's about the masculine and feminine energies. Like Absolutely. The masculine energy is the mental energy of the mind, and the feminine energy is the emotional energy of the heart. And, you know, as people, as individuals, you know, we find our own rhythm with that. And even as we grow, we change. You know, maybe at a certain point we're more masculine than we are feminine, just because of it. We might not appear that way, but just the way we use our mind before we drop into our hearts. So it's one thing to, you know, have some balance as an individual, but then also, you know, to be able to be more as women in our feminine, because we don't feel we have to protect ourselves so much from the world. Because if we are still wounded as a feminine, we still feel we have to bring in our own inner masculine to protect ourselves. And that, you know, hardens us and brings us more into our masculine energy. So it's just, yeah, really interesting about the journey and the difference between the masculine mind and the feminine heart.
Well, yeah, I want to respond to that, if that's okay, because I do know that, well, let me just say this. I feel, for instance, I hold a masculine soul, right? More masculine dominated soul than feminine. Although I'm in this female body, I feel like I'm perfectly in balance because of that. Mm-hmm. So I think it's interesting. And I do know that definitely when you're talking about the masculine mind and so forth, I mean, the world, this matrix, this is constantly causing us to use our mental body rather than our feeling and our emotional, you know, but it plays on that too, right?
You know, now.
Yes, right.
But see, there's the other aspects too. I mean, within masculinity, there's healthy masculinity and wounded masculinity.
Absolutely.
So the matrix is wounded masculinity because it's all about control. So
I never thought of that. Thank you for saying that. I never thought of that, Gemma.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the healthy masculine protects, provides, is a leader, whereas the wounded masculine seeks to shift his world with control, with I can't think of them all at the moment, but the same with the feminine. You know, we've got our healthy feminine, which is just radiates love and joy and nourishes, and you've got your unhealthy feminine, which will seek to control her world through manipulation, through
manipulation. You said it right.
Yeah,
manipulation, shame, blame, guilt,
all that stuff. Yeah. So, you know, that's really good to be aware of too. Are you operating from your healthy masculine, your healthy feminine, your wounded masculine, your wounded feminine? So ideally you want a balance as a healthy, healed individual between your healthy masculine and your healthy feminine. And as I said, when your feminine is healthy and healed, you don't need to be in your wounded masculine where you've got to have this layers of protection up, because you know the healthy masculine is always there to defend you if you need it, to protect you. But you can rely on that instead of having to rely on your external world and the other masculine energy in your world.
Oh, Gemma, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So I know we've been going for a couple hours now. I don't want to, you know, because I could talk to you for all night. I mean, I know I could. Yeah. So, and I don't want to, but I just think you have I mean, if you're willing to do this with me, I would love to have you come back again and where we can really focus on healthy masculine and feminine. Talk about
I'll
let
get
that feel.
all I'll because it's a while since, you know, just to be able to read. I tend not to hold stuff in my head that I don't need. It's like decluttering your house. You don't
Right.
have to hold on to it. So when I'm asked to recall certain stuff, I don't feel I have to learn this, I have to remember it. It just clutters your brain. You know, you just want freedom there, that the thoughts that you do invite in have space to roam. And, you know, it's like an animal being free in a in a field, and, you know, not restricted by all this thought. Anyway, that I've never articulated that before, but that's what I think. But anyway, yeah, we can do that, and I'll just bring up a graph, you know, a list.
I just think that would be so helpful for people. I mean, we can, you know, I started with Emma. I don't know if you know Emma, but she's in England, and Broom Hall, I think, is how you, I definitely want to, so I'm going to be working on doing a women's roundtable. And of course, I would love for you to be a part of that. Absolutely. But so I'm thinking to do it maybe closer to like Thanksgiving. Like if I reach out to a few women, Patricia Corey, you, maybe Emma, you know, I'll just see a few people. But in the meantime, until then, I would love to do a series of shows with you and just sharing your expertise, your knowledge, your wisdom, your divine feminine, your divine masculine, you're just so full of so much information that I think would be helpful for, so I don't think, I know it. I mean, if I'm feeling the way I'm feeling, I know other people are probably feeling it too. It's just, we have these aha moments. You say certain things and it's like, okay, I knew that, but now I'm hearing it coming from
we all need
your voice, your frequency, everything. It's just well received. And I think people, I think it's
know fabulous. A little bit about a lot. But just enough that, you know, help me on my journey. It's like, as I said, you know, I don't have to hold on to a lot of stuff. But
well, I think, I think being able to talk about divine masculine and feminine and the balance and healthy.
And I love that. It's like it's very close to my heart, that subject. So I do know a lot about it, actually. It's just that So
can we, I mean, when are you willing to come? Let me look on here, because I know I do have, well, I'm planning, it's not till next month, but let me just make sure.
I haven't really my diary here, so can we can I get in touch with you?
You absolutely can, and let me know.
Definitely. I just need to check that, you know, I don't have any appointments this Friday, because it's when you do Thursdays, it's Friday here. It's like 10:10 in the morning. So we can get in touch if that's okay. But I'm happy in the next week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever you want. I can, you know, just make sure I have that space cleared already.
I appreciate you, Gemma. And thank you for co-creating with me and holding, you know, being in this space with me to share this kind of information. And I'm hoping everybody, you know, we're getting ready to close, and anybody that's interested in reaching Gemma, reach out to her on Facebook. You know, send her a message. Don't bombard her. You know, respect her time. And
I might not open it, but
I might. But I mean, you could go to Amazon. She's got some books there that may be helpful, right?
One book.
Okay, one book, and she has one book. But she's got, I mean, so much published work out there that you've shared freely with us, and people can just
Facebook albums.
So if you're interested, please do go and read some of her work. It definitely will spark something in you, ignite something in you, and I'm sure there's plenty that you would be able to resonate with. Gemma, I appreciate you. Thank you for, you know, you've helped me so much just having you on as a guest, and I can imagine that people by our discussion are probably going to really enjoy, not probably, I know it. I mean, the last show we did seemed to do very well for itself. And the goal is, you know, if I help one person, I've served my purpose in doing these shows. I'm not looking to, I mean, of course, I'd like to grow my platform because I want people to come in that are ready to come and be in a space of joy. And doesn't mean we have to be all, I'm nothing wrong with the love and lighters, but I'm saying, some days may feel a little heavier than others, but we can do this, and hold each other and walk each other home to our hearts, which is where heaven resides. I really believe that. It's in our hearts when we let go. Yes. So
beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day. And we'll be in touch. Everybody,
Bye.
thank you. Thank you, Gemma.